The Hand of Brass. Episode 4, Magic and Malevolence.
Duncan!
Celine cast her spell on Duncan as he fell down into the dark abyss. She had no idea if the spell would save him from such a height, but there was no time to dwell on that now. In front of her stood the assailant, a master of sword and magic it would seem. From the man's sleeve a fine silver chain slid down and radiated with magical energy. He thrust his hand forward and the chain leapt out at Celine. She dodged out of the way as the chain pierced the rock wall behind her. The surprises from this sorcerer seemed to be endless. Celine was getting tired. She was unused to casting at such a rapid rate. She widened her stance and cast a spell of flashing light, blinding the man. Then, thinking quickly, propelled a concussive force that broke off a huge stalactite. Just as the man was beginning to regain his senses, he was impaled. Violently retching blood, he died with his face locked in a silent scream of agony. Celine collapsed to her knees, exhausted.
You have to get up, Celine. You need to keep moving. Who were those people?
They were Alamandian infiltrators. This one bears their crest. Damn it! We need to help Duncan!
I'm sorry, Celine, but there is no way he could have survived that fall, even with your spell. You are going to have to keep on the path. Everything is within our grasp, and the sooner we get the scroll, the sooner I can help in getting us out of this forsaken mountain. Duncan's death will not be in vain.
You're right. We have to keep moving.
Celine started to move back down the path, but then paused to look at the magical silver chain the Alamandian spy held. She picked it up and wrapped it around her forearm, then went on her way, keeping as far from the ledge as possible.
Decius, do you ever think about what we would be doing if it never happened? If we never...
Our lives would be very different. I'm sure you would have continued to excel with the Draconians.
When I bring you back, do you think the Order will take me back?
Only time will tell, I suppose.
What is it like in hell? How is it that you are surviving and looking so healthy? Why is it that only I can see and hear you?
Since the portal opened and ripped me out of the material plane, I seem to have a connection to you in particular, so I am able to project an image of myself into your mind. I do not wish you to see me as I truly am. Time passes differently here. I feel as if I have been here for so long, and I do not know how much longer I may have. Must we discuss this now?
You're right. I'm sorry. We will discuss this at length over a drink when you are back. I'm sure I will be writing many books worth of notes. It's just, talking to you right now is the only thing that's preventing me from running and screaming in fear of this place.
Oh, no need to apologize. It is very comforting knowing I, too, am not truly alone. I have you.
King Leontes of Berenia looked into the mirror once again. It was a large, intricately designed peace offering from King Titus of Elemendia, a symbol of rebirth and starting anew. He loved it more than anything. His reflection was crystal clear, clearer than any reflection he had ever gazed upon. He looked at himself in awe. He was a fantastic specimen. Peak physical condition, long flowing black hair. He could even see the high intelligence he bore just by looking into his eyes. The mirror highlighted it all, and summoned such a high level of confidence within himself that he had never thought possible. He would spend hours in front of this mirror every day, marveling at all that is he.
You are the High King of Berenia. All will tremble before your might. All others have been nothing but jealous, and wish to usurp my power. My enemies are plenty, all hiding within the shadows and in plain sight. But all will be revealed.
My liege, the guests are beginning to arrive for the masquerade. As well, the seer's been wanting to see you. Apparently something has come from the great beyond or what have you. He's been calling for the peasant king. Should I whip him again for giving you such an insulting name?
You guests! You interrupt me like this one more time and I will crush your windpipe. Do I make myself clear?
Unable to speak, Vilgus nodded his head rapidly.
Good. Now get out of my sight.
Cromwell had just arrived at the castle. A servant had led him through hallways and courtyards into an enormous and grandiose ballroom. Servants were strewn about with platters, providing sustenance and entertainment to the plethora of nobility in attendance. There were counts, countesses, barons, and all other forms of nobility. There were even a handful of wealthy merchants in the crowd as well. Though many of them were ineligible for the hand of the princess, they still attended to form potential new alliances and dish in the latest gossip. All Cromwell knew of these people was that they could never truly be trusted, for all sorts of cloak and daggery was littered in this game. It was then that he noticed that the princess was nowhere to be found. But before Cromwell could continue to think on this oddity, a fine-dressed orc with an eagle mask approached him.
Ah, Count Hogan. It's Duval. I thought it was you. It has been such a long time. What an intricate mask you have there. What is it? I can't even remember when last we spoke. Must have been just before the war ended. Speaking of, what are your thoughts on this Alamandian truce? I feel it's nothing more than a front for something more sinister. But who's to say with those barbarians, really? These gifts they keep giving the king, so extravagant and excessive. I theorize they're bootlicking to get something from us or to soon ask us for a personal favor. What do you think?
Cromwell pulled out a rolled piece of parchment and handed it to Baron Duval.
It has been a pleasure to see you. I have found new passion in worshipping the Watcher, and have sworn a vow of silence as meditative penance. Apologies for the inconvenience. My word, sir, you have my fullest support in your spiritual journey. Having high belief in the Watcher is very much in vogue. I assume that you're here for the potential of winning the hand of the princess? Well then, my friend, we are at an impasse, for I will be leaving tonight with the princess in hand. You're most welcome to try, but I feel your silence is a golden opportunity for me. I must take my leave of you. I'm in need of stimulating conversation. Pleasure to see you again, Count Hogan. We truly must dine once your vow of silence is done. Who knows? Perhaps it will be in this very castle.
Cromwell breathed a sigh of relief and continued his way along the far side of the ballroom, attempting to bring as little attention to himself as possible. He made his way up a set of stairs just north of the room and through a door that led into a moonlit hallway. Cromwell was sure his absence would go unnoticed. At least he hoped. But something was bothering Cromwell about this whole soiree. Royalty was not known to host such events to marry off a princess as if it were some grand auction. Had the king gone so mad that he would just give away Princess Diala to some random nobleman without considering consolidation of power? What game was he playing here?
I must find my way to the king's room. There has to be something here that can explain all of this.
But before Cromwell could get any further, he suddenly heard the king's voice addressing the crowd in the ballroom. Curiosity got the better of him, so he went back to the ballroom door and peeked through. He saw the tyrant king himself, wearing a bull mask adorned with large horns.
It is a fine night for feast, drink, and merrymaking. Tonight has been an occasion of high anticipation, for one of you feels who are worthy to become my successor by gaining the hand of my only daughter in marriage. For those not eligible, yet who have still made your way here to my masquerade, I can tell you this. I know why you are here. You are here to watch and make nice with the new future king and ruler of our great Berenia. You are here to leech and bleed out whoever is foolish enough to take my power, thereby gaining prestige and power for yourself. So I wish to declare to you all, I see your mind, and you shall not gain prestige and power here tonight, nor any other night, nor ever, for this is my right, and I shall rule!
Suddenly the castle guards were upon the guests. Drawing their weapons, they began mercilessly slaughtering the nobles. But before Cromwell could react, he felt an arm wrap around him and a dagger coming for his throat. He reacted quickly, grabbing the dagger hand and wrenching it out of the way. He pushed back, forcing the assassin into a wall, causing him to drop the weapon. Cromwell spun around and swung hard, punching the orc in the jaw. It was Vilgus.
You! I should have fucking killed you when I had the chance.
Cromwell felt his face and realized his mask had fallen off in the struggle. Vilgus and Cromwell locked eyes, Then both looked at the dagger laying between them. They simultaneously sprang into action, trying to push one another out of the way. Vilgus grasped the hilt first, but then Cromwell grabbed Vilgus's face, forcing his index finger into Vilgus's eye socket. Cromwell then wrenched the dagger out of Vilgus's hand and swiftly stabbed him in the heart. Cromwell suddenly heard the door from the ballroom open. He looked up to see he was staring directly at the king.
There's another one in here! Kill him!
The king proceeded to run through another door, and Cromwell gave chase. Hallway after hallway, room after room. Cromwell's heart beat rapidly. Will this chase ever end? The king burst through one last set of ornate doors, the king's bedroom. Leontes grabbed a fire poker and spun around to meet Cromwell. The king's eyes were full of fear. No one had ever dared stand up to him like this.
Stay away, peasant!
Your tyranny comes to an end tonight. Surrender yourself!
It was then something caught Cromwell's eye. A beautifully crafted Alemendian mirror. He saw the reflection of himself and the trembling king. It was a beautiful picture. Finally, after all the famine and violence, he can stamp out the flame of a tyrant. He could make the world a better place. He, a lowly peasant, had single-handedly overtaken the most powerful man in the nation. He was strong and handsome, a far superior orc to the tyrant king. Who better than he to take the king's throne? He could rule far better than this fool, couldn't he? He would be king of the peasants. The peasant king. Elric led Duncan swiftly through the tunnels. At every crossroad, Elric instantly went one way without hesitation. Without Elric, Duncan surely would have been hopelessly lost.
By my gathering, we should arrive at the city within a few hours. Your luck seems to be infinite. 100 footfall, right into the lap of a field physician, a shiny new brass hand to replace one that was cut off, and somehow getting us out of that mist right onto the path to home.
Always trying to see the brighter side of things, aren't we?
You have to in times like this. If not for the hope of light, how can we withstand the dark?
Out of the darkness emerged 4 troglodyte. They stood just out of reach of any blade as they circled their prey. Duncan and Elric drew their weapons.
Back to back!
What the hell are these things?
Troglodyte, bloodthirsty creatures of the mountain. They're said to be the servants of Malnus.
Why haven't they attacked yet?
They're sizing us up, trying to figure out if we're an easy kill or not. Though bestial, they're very intelligent and will not strike unless they know they can win. Either that, or they're toying with us. They have been known to play with their food.
Great.
Without warning, a troglodyte charged at Elric, brandishing its claws. Elric barely managed to get his axe between him and the creature. Its mouth full of razor-sharp teeth snapped and snapped as it tried to tear into Elric's throat. Duncan spun around and drove his sword right down its gullet, piercing through the back of its head. But Duncan's sword became lodged in the throat of the fiend. Letting the sword go, the troglodyte fell to the cold, hard ground, splattering blood all around. Move! Duncan strafed aside as Elric thrust forward with the spearhead of his axe into the gut of the oncoming troglodyte, and using his momentum, he pushed it back. A third troglodyte leapt onto Duncan, pinning him with its demonic strength. But as it was about to dig its infernal claws into Duncan, a fine silver chain wrapped around its head and crushed it like a melon. Wiping the blood from his eyes, Duncan saw Celine standing there as she cast a spell of lightning, shocking the remaining troglodyte to death.
Duncan! Oh, thank the Watcher you're alive. Looks like my spell really works. Wait, it did work, right? If done properly, you shouldn't have felt any pain. But if you did feel pain and felt nothing break, then I suppose it worked then too. Just not as effectively. Oh, excuse me, sir. I don't think we've met. I'm Celine Lemaine.
Elric Stormshield. At your service, miss.
Duncan pushed the troglodyte corpse off of him.
It really seems you're more my protector than I am yours. What the hell did you hire me for?
Duncan, your hand! Where did you get this? Is that a dwarven prosthetic?
You're a very learned elf. Did you learn this in Elvidia or in your own studies?
I left Elvidia some time ago to pursue a career of study with the Draconians. But in my research of dwarven society, I came across some rumors of such magical prosthetics.
I would be very interested in learning your source for these rumors. Seems there's a leak on our boat, so to speak.
Duncan walked over to the troglodyte that had his sword lodged in its throat.
Mind if we take this conversation on the road? There's no telling how many more of these things will show up.
Oh, yes, of course. You prove a fair point. Soon, Elric, we will discuss this at length. I would really like to learn how these prosthetics work.
Since you did save our hides, I think I owe you at least a theory or two.
A few hours passed as Elric led the trio through the darkness with his lantern.
You two are in for a wonderful experience. We don't get many visitors of outside folk. I'll treat you to the absolute finest hospitality my people can offer. My wife and daughter would love... What is this? My city. My home.
Before them was Elric's home, a once great city, now in ruins.
Your home? Elric, this city has been abandoned for 30 years.
Hi, my name is Berkeley Pickell. I'm one of the actors on The Hand of Brass, and I wanted to thank you for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to help support us, check out our Patreon and keep up to date with us by following us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook @The Hand of Brass.